Higher prices will help raise more than $15 million as BART tries to find ways to pay for its service.
It's just such a horrible feeling because we're such a tight community.
Increased security at Hanukkah celebrations around the world following a shooting rampage in Australia targeting Jewish people. What Australia is already doing in response to that attack. Plus,
this holiday is about bringing light to a world that has quite a bit of darkness.
Bay Area Jewish communities coming together hours after learning of that deadly attack in Australia for the first night of Hanukkah. Why they say they won't be driven into the shadows by fear. Then people in Hollywood and beyond are reeling upon learning of the death of acclaimed actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife. The mark he left on the industry and where the investigation into the killings stands.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Gassia Mikaelian.
I'm Andre Senior. Today is Monday, December 15th. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. We have a lot of fog this morning, and it's the same story we've been dealing with for the last couple of weeks. Rosemary Risco is with us this morning to tell us a little bit more about that and your forecast for today. Rosemary?
Yeah, it is widespread. Andre Gassia, good morning to both of you, and another chilly one as well. Outside the door and a live look over San Francisco. You can see the low clouds there. So over the weekend, the low clouds return to the coast. That advection fog coupled with the radiation fog that continues in our valleys, and it is widespread. Temperatures at this hour, 37 degrees in Livermore, low 40s. Palo Alto, San Jose, Santa Rosa, a chilly 40 for you there. Even into the afternoon, we'll struggle once again into the upper 40s for those areas that will remain with gray skies. Dense fog advisory goes until 11 a.m. Make sure you get out the door, give yourself some extra time, take it easy and slow. Meanwhile, at 7:01, the morning commute is in full swing. Let's see how it is going out there with Sal. Good morning.
Good morning. Pardon me. Good morning there, Rosemary. We do have a look at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. I want to show that to you because it is backed up as it typically is. And people always want to know about the Toll Plaza because that's probably one of the most important commutes in the Bay Area. So give yourself a little extra time there. If you're driving to Interstate 880, that looks okay as you drive. But the fog is a little bit of an issue. I also want to mention something in the South Bay here. Northbound 85 at Camden Avenue, there's some slow traffic because of a crash there. It's backed up from at least the Guadalupe Parkway. 7:01, let's get back to the desk.
Sal, thank you. Australian leaders today agreed to tighten their nation's already tough gun control laws following a mass shooting at Sydney's famed Bondi Beach. Authorities say a father and son opened fire at people attending an event to mark the first night of Hanukkah. 15 people were killed, at least 38 others wounded and in the hospital now. The ages of those killed range from 10 to 87.
An act of pure evil. An act of terror, an act of anti-Semitism.
You could just hear the gunshots and they're just so loud. And we didn't know which way that they were shooting.
Australia says one of the suspected attackers died in a gun battle with police. Authorities say he was 50 years old. They aren't revealing his country of origin, but say he came to Australia in 1998. His 24-year-old son is said to have aided in the attack. He was born in Australia, is in critical condition after a shootout with police. New gun control proposals include limiting who can obtain gun licenses in Australia.
One of the most talked about moments of the attack is that stunning act of heroism. A man tackled and disarmed one of the shooters. The man who wrestled away the weapon was identified as Ahmed Al-Hamed. The 43-year-old refugee from Syria has 2 children and owns a fruit shop in the country. Relatives say he had surgery after the second gunman shot him in the arm and in the hand. The tragedy is impacting people all over the world, especially among the Jewish community.
On what should be a week of celebration, the Bay Area is mourning those killed in Sydney. Our Amanda Quintana live in San Francisco's Union Square, where a giant menorah was lit last night amid heavy hearts. Amanda.
Yes, that's right. There was a special prayer last night for those 15 lives lost, and this news hits especially close to home for the Jewish community here in the Bay Area, both knowing that the attack happened at a menorah lighting just like the one we had here, but for some, they know the victims personally. Rabbi Simon Margolin, who leads the Russian-speaking Jewish community of San Francisco, tells us his colleague, Rabbi Eli Schlandger of Chabad of Bondi, is one of the victims.
He's known as one of the most charismatic, inspirational rabbinical figures of Sydney. Just the last picture that we have of Rabbi Schlandger is his picture praying with another young Jew, and then literally 20, 30 minutes later, his life was taken by the bullet of the terrorists.
It's a very, very, very hard time, a tragedy. Tragedy happened, a terrorist attack at a menorah lighting just like this. So we have to keep in mind that tonight, when we're lighting the candle here in Union Square, we're lighting candles for those souls.
Bondi Beach is a heavily Russian Jewish community. The group attacked is affiliated with the Chabad of San Francisco. The rabbis were classmates together. In a statement, the Bay Area Jewish Community Relations Council says they're calling on government officials and civic leaders to demonstrate their allyship and solidarity and show up this week at menorah lightings, especially at a time when acts of anti-Semitic violence are becoming more common. The San Francisco Police Department says it has increased patrols at places of worship and Jewish events. They're working with local, state, and federal authorities to assess and handle any potential threats, though they say they are no credible threats right now. Now, at the menorah lighting last night, they also spoke about how important it is to continue to have these celebrations for Hanukkah, to not let the fear cancel any of these celebrations, because they say the holiday, after all, is about bringing light to darkness. Live in San Francisco, Amanda Quintana, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much. It is coming up at 7:06 right now. New this morning, Governor Gavin Newsom plans to announce that California has hired 2 former leaders of the CDC for the State Department of Public Health. According to the New York Times, one is Susan Menares, who was the former director of the CDC. The other is Dr. Deborah Horry, who is the former chief medical officer of the CDC. The Trump administration fired Menares while Horry quit in protest. Both are expected to advise California on modernizing the state's healthcare system and creating new tools to protect the state from things like infectious diseases.
A developer in a small city in the Delta is working to lure people from the Bay Area to Sacramento County. Isleton is a historic community surrounded by rivers and farmland. It's about an hour northeast of Oakland if you're driving without traffic. One local home builder with plans for development purchased a plot of land just off Highway 160 9 years ago. After years of delays, Anthony Garcia has 3 homes under construction and many more planned in the months ahead.
The whole concept's great. It's really set up for somebody in the Bay Area. Really, that Bay Area, they have good jobs. They're making great money, but they can't afford $2 million homes that are just regular homes. These are brand new homes that we're going to try to be in the 600s.
Garcia notes that Alton is a 30-minute drive from the Antioch BART station, and trains from Antioch reach many Bay Area cities in under an hour.
All right, time to talk some football. The 49ers celebrating their 10th victory of the season as they get ready for the playoffs. The Niners came off their bye week to defeat the Tennessee Titans 37-24 at Levi Stadium yesterday. The Niners offense was clicking early. San Francisco scoring on its first 5 possessions for the first time since 2021. Quarterback Brock Purdy threw for 3 touchdowns and 295 yards to lead the Niners to their 4th victory in a row.
Overall, just being aggressive and just the way, the way that I was seeing the defense and just letting it go, man.
I think we had great energy all week. Like, you can just kind of feel, sometimes you got to try to get the energy and the vibes out of the team. And I didn't feel like that at all this week. We're very happy with a win. But definitely, just winning 4 games in a row.
The Niners are currently the 6th seed in the NFC playoff picture, and with 3 games left, they still have a chance to win their division. They will play the Colts in prime time in Indianapolis 1 week from tonight.
Time is 7:08, and let's go right to the Bay Bridge. We do have traffic backed up to the maze, about a 20-minute delay, nothing unusual, and the fog is an issue for some people in the commute. It's foggy in Oakland, East Bay, Santa Clara, San Francisco. As we look at the Santa Clara Valley, North 85 at Camden, now that backup is stretching as you approach that crash, but the rest of the South Bay is normal. At 7:08, let's go back to the desk.
Thank you so much. This morning, TMZ is reporting Rob Reiner and his wife were killed by a family member. We'll go live to Los Angeles next, where police are still investigating this morning.
And Californians know by now to bring their own bags to the grocery store. And when they're caught without, most buy a bag. Starting in the new year, though, they'll have fewer options at checkout. We'll examine what's changing and why.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
Twelve minutes after 7, new details about that horrific tragedy in Hollywood. Director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer, killed inside their Los Angeles home. And this morning, TMZ is reporting a family member is responsible. Mario Ramirez from our sister station, Fox 11 in Los Angeles, is in the suburb of Brentwood, where the incident took place, with more on this developing story. Mario, what can you tell us?
Andre, good morning to you. Yes, we're on Chadbourne Avenue, the home here just behind me. We can tell you that someone has been taken into custody. 32-year-old Nick Reiner, the son of Rob Reiner, the iconic director who was found dead along with his wife inside the home here behind me yesterday afternoon. Now, we want to show you video here because this was quite the scene here overnight. Dozens of LAPD investigators, fire crews, and eventually coroner's crews responding to the scene here. A major LAPD homicide investigation. Now, Rob Reiner, a household name in Hollywood for more than 5 decades, he did so much work, stand by me when Harry met Sally, the Princess Bride, just to name a few. Authorities say when paramedics were called here to the home around 3:30 Sunday afternoon for a medical emergency, they arrived and found two bodies. We've learned 78-year-old Rob Reiner and his 68-year-old wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, both pronounced dead at the scene, and TMZ reporting that the couple suffered injuries consistent with a knife. Meanwhile, investigators were able to obtain a search warrant. They went through the home. We saw them in and out here this morning. They still haven't confirmed the identities, at least during their initial briefing. We're waiting for an update here this morning, but they stress no one has been yet named a suspect, and no one's been named a suspect yet. Take a listen to what they told us during that briefing.
There are going to be many family members interviewed. I'm not going to confirm whether someone's being interviewed at this time or not. We're going to try to speak to every family member that we can to get to the facts of this investigation.
Now, TMZ also exclusively reporting some gruesome details here in the case. The couple had their throats slashed by a family member, possibly after an argument. And again, their 32-year-old son, Nick Reiner, is in custody, being held on $4 million bail with the LA County Detention Center. Now, we should mention that this is developing. We're still waiting for that morning briefing here from LAPD just outside the home. But those details really shocking the entire community and Hollywood, the entertainment industry this morning. For now, that's the latest here in Brentwood. We'll send it back to you, Andre.
Mario, really stunning details that are coming out of this killing here. First, do we have a motive yet, and do we know who found the bodies in that home?
Well, multiple reports, we were talking about this earlier, had suggested that one of the other children, a daughter, had called 911 after finding the bodies inside the home. That is yet to be confirmed by LAPD. Still no motive or what may have led up to all of this. And we're, of course, expecting some of those details possibly to be confirmed from the LAPD as we get that update here.
All right, we'll look for that update. Mario Ramirez from our sister station, KTVU Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Mario, thank you.
Time is 7:15 here. The new year always brings new laws, and one in 2026 could affect you on your very first shopping trip. Starting January 1st, all plastic film bags, including those thicker reusable bags, will no longer be available. Let's bring in the author of a new law, State Senator Catherine Blakespear of San Diego County, to learn more. Thanks for being with us.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure here. Let's rewind a bit. Californians voted to ban plastic grocery bags about 10 years ago. Then a loophole allowed grocery stores to provide those thicker plastic bags at checkout for 10 or 25 cents. The law appears to have had an unintended effect, though.
Yes, that's right. So plastic bags were supposed to become reusable and recyclable, but that loophole basically resulted in plastic bag waste doubling. So the voters approved a plastic bag ban that resulted in plastic bag waste doubling. So basically we wanted to address that, and I did that with the bill that I passed last year.
So fewer bags out there, but more plastic in them. This new law means that we can't even buy a plastic bag at checkout. Why is that so important?
Well, yeah, you see that right there, just the huge number of plastic bags that are being distributed at grocery stores every day. Plastic bag waste is a scourge, and it is strangling our planet, our waterways, our landfills get clogged with it. It degrades into toxic microplastics. Every bag has a lifespan of, on average, 7 minutes. So we use it for 7 minutes to bring our groceries home, and then there's no other use for it that is reasonable. So basically nowhere in California recycles those bags, and very few people are actually reusing very many of them. Some of us reuse them for a while. But basically the idea is a paper bag does just as well. There's no reason for us to have a plastic bag to carry our groceries in. Best is that you bring your reusable bag. If you don't have that, then you can get a paper bag. And so, that's basically the idea is let's use less plastic.
What does enforcement look like?
Well, enforcement will be through CalRecycle, which is where all of these types of laws sit. The Grocers Association was in favor of this bill, which basically to me means that their members, the grocery stores, what we heard was that they were tired of the bag wars. They wanted to have a clear standard. And I expect that grocery stores will comply. And we're already seeing that start, even though the new year hasn't kicked in yet.
What about people who say, look, I use those plastic bags from the grocery store to line my kitchen garbage. Now I have to buy plastic bags. This won't actually cut down on the amount of plastic out there.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think we all need to do our part. When you think about what type of world we want to live in and how sustainable can we be? Can we do a little bit better? We need to have, and we did before COVID, a lot of us were bringing our bags. I mean, the vast majority of people had transitioned, and then unfortunately COVID really set things back. So the idea of let's do our part, let's use a paper bag, let's bring our reusable bag. People can remember to bring in their bags from the grocery store just like you remember your keys in your wallet. You know, the idea that, oh, well, I always forget them. Part of that is just making it a priority. And that's, you know, I think these are changes that we can make.
Yeah, I think we've all made that last-minute dash back to the car before going into to do the grocery shopping. All right, that's our time for here. It's a good heads up for what's starting January 1st. State Senator Catherine Blakespear, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for your interest.
Of course.
Always have to do that U-turn back to the trunk of the car to grab that bag when I'm going to the store. All right, let's get over to Sal now at 7:19 with a look at the road. Sal, good morning.
All right, Andre, good morning. Garcia, good morning to you. Let's go right to the South Bay. I want to show you that Highway 85 is something that you should probably think about. It's a little slower than usual early because of that crash at Camden. No serious injuries. However, the lanes were blocked and we are backed up before Highway 87 now, so the backup is building. Let's go back to the East Bay because we've had fog, although it is not foggy enough to really affect traffic here at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. It is foggy in other parts. Let me show you Oakland. You can barely see 880, so fog is there in many parts of the Bay Area. Speaking of weather, let's bring in Rosemary Orozco now at 7:19.
Oh, that was one foggy shot, Sal. I have another one for you, this one in Santa Cruz, where, yes, the low clouds, the fog, joining us along the coastline, inside the Bay, and our inland cities. It is going to be thick as well. Take it easy out there. We will get into a pattern change, but not today, although subtle changes coming, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. Storm Tracker 2 there with the wet weather over the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. We are seeing the leading edge of the clouds, so high clouds in the forecast up above the low clouds for today. Tomorrow morning, we wake up with mostly cloudy skies, a little bit of drizzle, a few sprinkles. It does favor the North Bay, and you can see that here as I roll you through the afternoon and into Wednesday morning, where it becomes a little bit more in the way of central and southern portions of the Bay. But light and passing is about all we're expecting to see. When it comes to accumulation, less than a quarter inch in the Tuesday-Wednesday timeframe. But I'm not going to stop here because there's another storm on the horizon, and it is rolling in time for your weekend. So plan on this. By Sunday night, Santa Rosa here, this is just a projection, but more than 2 inches of rainfall. And it will continue to fluctuate, and we will continue to fine-tune it as we move closer. But the takeaway is wet weather is finally making a comeback. Outsider doors at this hour, it's a tough one in many spots when it comes to visibility. The inner East Bay, Livermore, quarter mile. San Jose, half mile. In the North Bay, Santa Rosa reporting half mile. And we're seeing it along the peninsula. We're seeing it along the East Bay shore. 43 degrees right now in San Francisco, mid-30s in Livermore. So some areas literally near freezing this morning. And for the afternoon, going to remain cool in those spots that just can't shake the fog. This pattern change with the wet weather is going to disrupt that layer of fog, and we will see less in the way of patchy, dense fog moving into Wednesday, Thursday, and now into your weekend. Temperatures coming up slightly, but we will be mostly cloudy. And again, Andre Garcia, Friday, Saturday, Sunday look to be a bit soggy. Back to you.
Well, it's about time. Rosemary, thank you. 7:22 here. Cleanup continues this morning for last week's historic storms in the Pacific Northwest, where the governor of Washington says things could have been a lot worse.
KTVU's annual One Warm Coat Drive is underway, and you can help make sure people in need stay warm this winter. If you're able to donate a new or gently worn coat, scan the QR code on your screen or head to KTVU.com for a list of participating drop-off locations. The One Warm Coat Drive runs until December 14th. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the 9. It's a gorgeous look up above the clouds. You can see it is a blanket there, and then the sun rising up above. It is another dry day here as we start a brand new work week, but things are going to change in the form of rain coming up in the days ahead. We'll talk with our meteorologist, Rosemary Roscoe, in a second.
Well, a state of emergency remains in effect in Washington state this morning, despite the record-breaking rain that hit the area this weekend. Authorities say last week's historic storms dumped as much as a half a foot of rain on some parts of the state, and that forced the evacuation of more than 100,000 people and led to a series of dramatic helicopter rescues. There's widespread storm damage across the Evergreen state right now. However, the governor says the disastrous flooding did not cause deaths or injuries.
It's a credit to the first responders, to the whole community all around the state that have just been there.
More heavy rain is expected later today in areas already saturated by last week's powerful storms. With the new rain, more flooding is possible. Well, it's a household name that has come to represent all robot vacuums, while the company behind Roomba is now facing new issues.
A dominant win for the 49ers that didn't come as much of a surprise. What San Francisco needs to do to keep the playoff push alive.
Well, a reset in the manhunt for the person who carried out a mass shooting on the Brown University campus. A person of interest who was in custody now released. And a drastic drop in the number of people using the Oakland airport. A live report on the reason behind the decline despite that rebranding.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Welcome to Mornings on 2. It is 7:30 on the dot. I'm Andre Sr.
Good morning. I'm Garcia Michaeli. And a busy Monday, December 15th. Weather is part of that. I think my neighbors have their sprinklers timed to when I leave the house. And I thought soon they won't need those sprinklers anymore, Rosemary.
Yes, finally going to get out and play in the rain. Garcia and Andre, it is coming back. We'll start out with just a few passing showers tomorrow, but later in the week, we are expecting not only wet weather, but windy weather. Giving you a live look here over Santa Cruz, where we can see the lighthouse there. We can also tell there's plenty of fog this morning. It is in our inland cities around the bay and along the coastline. 37 degrees right now in Livermore, low 40s in San Francisco, and 40 degrees in Santa Rosa. So remaining status quo for today with the cloudy skies, the chilly temperatures. As we get into tomorrow, though, a transition to that wet weather pattern. A better look at what we can expect coming up in less than 10 minutes at 7:30. Let's see how the highways are shaping up on this back to work Monday. Hi, Sal.
Good morning, Rosemary. A lot of our cameras are fogged in, so we have to use maps instead. But the Bay Bridge camera is not fogged in. It is backed up all the way out to the maze. Metering lights are on, and the traffic is doing okay. Now, if you're driving on Interstate 880 northbound, you will see traffic there. Now, a little while ago, we couldn't see this because of the fog, so the fog does tend to move around. We haven't checked in with San Francisco yet. San Francisco looks all right, about normal getting into the downtown area. 7:31, let's go back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Sal. Two deadly mass shootings are making headlines, one in the U.S., another in Australia. Let's get to KTVU's Dave Clark, who is in the newsroom tracking those developments. Dave?
Andre Garcia, good morning and thank you. Authorities in Rhode Island still searching for the person responsible for Saturday night's mass shooting on the campus of Brown University. 2 students were killed, 9 others were wounded in that shooting, and last night authorities said they've released the man who'd been detained for several hours as a person of interest in the case. Police are still searching for the person wearing dark clothing seen in this surveillance video.
Certainly there was some degree of evidence that pointed to this individual, but that evidence needed to be corroborated and confirmed. That evidence now points in a different direction. So what that means is that this person of interest needs to be and should be released.
Now, authorities say that person of interest had been taken into custody early yesterday morning at a hotel about 20 miles from the Brown University campus. There's no official word on why he was detained and then later released. Well, the Bay Area's Jewish community is mourning the deadly attack in Australia that left 15 people dead and at least 37 others injured. Now, last night, a rabbi who leads the Russian-speaking Jewish community of San Francisco delivered prayers for all of the victims. It was the first night of the sacred Jewish holiday Hanukkah. The mass shooting happened at Bondi Beach, which is a sizable Russian Jewish community.
I've read about these dark times of Jewish people in the history books, but I feel like this is one of those periods of dark history for Jewish people is taking place in front of our eyes.
Now, the city of San Francisco is proceeding with its annual Hanukkah menorah lighting at Union Square. Mayor Daniel Laurie was joined last night by his father, who is a rabbi. I'm Dave Clark in the KTVU newsroom. Now let's go back to Andre and Garcia.
Dave, thank you. 7:33 now. Travel at Oakland San Francisco Bay Airport is down this year, according to new data released by the federal government. KTVU's Tori Gaines live from the airport here to break down some numbers for us. Good morning, Tori.
Good morning to you, Garcia. Yeah, we're here at OAK. Take a look over my shoulder. We're at one of the TSA checkpoints, excuse me, and we haven't seen a line here all morning. It's a little bit quiet this morning, and that could be a reflection of the numbers that we are seeing. The new data from the federal government says that this airport has seen nearly 1 million fewer passengers this year, but the passengers we spoke to this morning say that they use OAK because it's the most convenient. This is your favorite airport to use?
Yeah, obviously. It's close. Like Uber is like $20 cheaper at Oakland. And it's a good airport. What are people worried about?
Now, the loss in passengers isn't a huge surprise. It's a loss of about 17%, but the airport has also seen a loss of flights scheduled to leave. It's about 6,000 fewer departures scheduled this year. Now, Southwest is the biggest carrier out of OAK, and that airline alone makes up 83% of all flights here. In the past year, it has seen a loss of about 12% of passengers. Now, OAK has gone through some big changes, including changing its name to Oakland San Francisco Bay Airport. That change hoped to draw more visitors, but these numbers aren't unique to Oakland's airport. The Bureau of Transportation says that the number of passengers traveling in and out of the 9 biggest airports in the country has dropped this year, but Oakland saw the biggest drop in more than 90 of the biggest airports. Now, we've reached out to the Port of Oakland as well as Southwest Airlines to see if they are taking any steps to try and mitigate this loss in passengers. We'll bring all of that to you right here live on Mornings on 2. We're live this morning at OAK. Tori Gaines, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Time is 7:35. Well, we do have traffic in San Francisco we are checking out for you, and it's slow on northbound 101 as you approach the 280 interchange, a little bit before that, and 280 at 101. If you are driving to the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, that is backed up this morning all the way out to the maze. Metering lights are on, and we see traffic on all Bay Area bridges to be about normal. 7:36. Let's go back to the desk.
All right, Sal, thank you. The holiday shopping season is in full swing. Many are feeling pressure to overspend. We'll go deep with an expert into how to celebrate without going into debt coming up on the 9, but now we want to hear from you. When it comes to holiday shopping, are you sticking to a budget this year? Yes, every dollar is planned. Say not a single one of you at this point. Then the next response is evenly split between those who say you're trying, but it's hard, and then half of you say you are winging it. It's early on, so we do expect these numbers to change thanks to your votes. You can either scan the QR code there at the top right of your screen or head on out to ktvu.com/vote and tell us what you're doing or not doing. We will be right back.
In today's Monday Morning Quarterback, a potential Hall of Fame quarterback returns to the sport, while another will be out for a long time. Let's start in Kansas City. Three-time Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes tore the ACL in his left knee. It happened in the final minutes of a 16-13 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. He's obviously in pain here. Mahomes is now seeking different medical opinions on how best to treat it. You hate to see something like this. The loss means the Chiefs will miss the playoffs for the first time in more than a decade. The Green Bay Packers fear their star pass rusher Micah Parsons also tore his left ACL. He went down with a non-contact injury in the third quarter of the Packers' 34-26 loss to the Denver Broncos. The team traded for Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys just before the season started. He immediately signed a 4-year, $188 million contract, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in the league. And although Philip Rivers of the Indianapolis Colts did not win his comeback, he still accomplished an amazing feat. 44-year-old grandfather was coaching high school football, and he played his first game since retiring 5 years ago. He was a semifinalist for next year's Pro Football Hall of Fame, but will not have to wait until at least 2031. Rivers completed 18 of 27 passes for 120 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception as his Colts lost to the Seattle Seahawks 18-16. He and the Colts will face the 49ers next Monday night.
All right, Sal, it was a dominant performance for the San Francisco 49ers against the Tennessee Titans yesterday. The Niners won 37-24 and never trailed in this game. Let's break down the win with Sports Illustrated's Grant Cohn. Grant, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, Grant, why didn't the 49ers defense look as good as it should have against a team with only 2 wins here?
Yeah, it felt like the Niners really should have dismissed the Titans. Like, look at the Eagles. The Eagles have been going through trouble. They played the Raiders. They beat them 31-0. They dismissed the Raiders, which is what you should do with a terrible team. The Niners couldn't quite dismiss the Titans. Brock Purdy looked great. George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall looked great, but the defense couldn't close the door, and you wonder what that means when the Niners face actual playoff teams in the upcoming weeks.
All right, so let's get back to Brock Purdy, someone you mentioned a moment ago. He did have an impressive performance yesterday. Seemed like he's getting his groove back, but are you satisfied as you're watching the game with his performance since he came back from injury?
Well, the results don't mean that much because, again, it's the Titans. But
Right.
Look at how he played, the process. He was extremely mobile. He had a 26, 28-yard run. He was throwing with zip. He was driving the ball. 3 weeks ago when he tried to do that against the Panthers, he threw interception after interception. He doesn't look like that anymore. He looks very confident. Again, it's easy to look confident against the Titans, but this is what he needed to sort of springboard him when he's facing teams like the Seahawks in a few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, are you satisfied? Do you think the 49ers are really peaking at the right time here?
If they could face the Titans every week, absolutely. I think it's dangerous to say too much about a win over one of the worst teams in the league, but they're relatively healthy. They have their quarterback. They have their tight end. And I'm going to say one more thing. They learned what their offense could be without giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey every other play. He had a back injury. They only threw him 1 pass. They featured Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle and scored 37 points. I think there's a lesson there for Kyle Shanahan, who really does trust and love Christian.
Let's think positively here. What happens if they win the rest of their games?
They win the rest of their games, there's a very real chance they get the #1 seed, which would come with a bye week and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Things are really breaking their way. Just a couple of months ago when Fred Warner went down and Nick Bosa went down, it felt like they went through a midseason depression almost. They didn't make a trade at the deadline. They sort of counted themselves out, but it's such a long season, and there's injuries all over the league. We just saw last night Micah Parsons went down. The Packers aren't really the contender we thought they'd be, and how many teams are really better than the Niners in the NFC? 1, 2, maybe that's it.
So what does that say to you about what's happening right now in the league?
That it's a league of mediocrity, and they say they're all about player safety, but as they keep adding on weeks to the season, it seems like more and more players are inevitably going to get hurt, and it's more and more a league of attrition than it's ever been.
Let me ask you about a couple of the other players from last night's game. Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle. What were your thoughts when you were watching this game last night and how they performed?
George Kittle's such a great player. I mean, he's one of the greatest 49ers of all time. And it's strange. Like, he hasn't had 100 targets in a season since 2019. He should be getting 10 catches a game. You figure if Bill Walsh were the play caller, he would. So it was nice to see Kyle Shanahan sort of get out of the way and let George Kittle dominate. If he gets the ball that much, it's hard for the Niners to lose. And then Ricky was really important because he's the guy replacing Brandon Ayuk, who's not coming back. And Ricky hadn't done much in a couple of months. You wondered, is that his fault? I don't think the answer is, I don't think it was his fault. I think it was more Kyle being fixated on Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, and maybe Brock Purdy not being able to throw the ball down the field right away after he came back. They tried, he threw interceptions, dialed it back. Finally, he went against the Titans, and Ricky went off. So I think that's very encouraging for this team. They need Ricky Pearsall to essentially be Brandon Ayuk, and he was in this game.
All right. Greg Cohn from Sports Illustrated, thank you so much for your insight into the game. We look forward to their next game coming up in a couple of weeks. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Or next weekend, rather. Gassi, over to you.
All right, thank you. 7:45. Some of the other stories we're following this morning here. TMZ reporting Los Angeles police have arrested 32-year-old Nick Reiner in connection to the stabbing deaths of his parents, actor and movie director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. Nick Reiner is being held on $4 million bail. A family member tells TMZ an argument may have led to the couple being killed in their Brentwood home Sunday afternoon. We'll go deeper into this developing news here with TMZ coming up at 8:30. Leaders in Australia today agreed to tighten their nation's already tough gun control laws following a mass shooting at Sydney's famed Bondi Beach. Authorities say a father and son opened fire at people gathering to celebrate the first night of the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. 15 people were killed. At least 38 others are in the hospital. And new this morning, the New York Times reports Governor Gavin Newsom has hired two former leaders of the CDC for the State Department of Public Health. The two accuse the Trump administration of abandoning scientific standards. One is Susan Menares, who was the former director of the CDC. The other is Dr. Deborah Hoory, who was a former chief medical officer for the CDC. Well, entertainers are calling on Congress to help get them paid for their music, and it's a big week for economic news. Our Pam Cook back in studio here with what's happening in dollars and cents.
Good morning. Some important reports that were delayed because of the government shutdown will definitely influence the direction of the markets this week. As the opening bell rang this morning, all three indexes headed slightly lower initially. Trading is expected to be fairly light ahead of the two big reports tomorrow, the November jobs report and the retail sales for October. Then on Thursday, the consumer price index for November will be released. As we take a live look at the big board, you can see pretty quiet. As I mentioned, the Dow Jones just down slightly. The NASDAQ is down slightly. The S&P 500 is up a little bit. But again, really will depend on those reports that come out, two of them tomorrow. The maker of the Roomba filing for bankruptcy, and the company is going private. iRobot, based in Massachusetts, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and announced it has struggled to compete with lower-priced rivals from Chinese brands and heightened tariffs in the U.S. iRobot reports tariffs increased the company's costs by $23 million this year alone. The company currently reports $190 million in debt. The nation's big consulting firms are now falling victim to the same layoffs that they review for other industries. Bloomberg reports one of those consulting companies, McKinsey & Company, may cut thousands of jobs over the next 2 years, saying its growth and profits recently flatlined after years of expansion. McKinsey has long been the go-to advisor for many of the nation's largest companies. Now it is dealing with the growing use of AI in corporate consulting. And legendary entertainers are now calling on Congress to help compensate performers for their work. Bands, including Kiss, the Beach Boys, the Village People, and country music star Jason Aldean, want the American Music Fairness Act to become law. Radio stations currently pay royalties to songwriters and publishers, but not the performers.
When you work hard and you get to the top, what do you got? Zipperoonie. That's not the American way. If you are against this bill, you are un-American.
What it short circuits is payments to the songwriters. And the lowly songwriter, the creator, the people who actually write the songs, very frequently get overlooked in these conversations.
Now, California Senator Alex Padilla is among the sponsors of the bill, which has bipartisan support. Streaming platforms such as Apple Music and Spotify already compensate the singers. I'm Pam Cook. That's a look at your dollars and cents.
Well, thank you, Pam. 7:49. Let's see what this Monday morning traffic is doing. Let's check in with the commute by saying hello again to Sal.
Hello, Garcia. Pardon me. Right now, traffic is moving along pretty well. if you are driving on most Bay Area freeways for this time of the morning, for example, I wouldn't say it's great, but at least we don't have crashes here at the Bay Bridge. It looks pretty good and no major issues. Traffic is moving along okay northbound as you drive past the Oakland Coliseum on 880. San Francisco traffic is pretty slow getting into the city, but again, these are all pretty normal-ish commutes, and that includes the South Bay. We had an earlier crash north 85 in Camden, pardon me, that's on the shoulder. I would say if you're going to the San Jose airport, give yourself a little extra time because of an earlier crash in that area on 880. 7:50. Let's bring in Rosemary with today's weather.
Okay, Sal, we have a shot up above the clouds, and for many, this is going to be the only time you see the sun today because we are stuck in this pattern with the low clouds, the fog joining us once again this morning outside our doors, and a beautiful view there. High clouds also beginning to stream in. That is a sign of change coming for tomorrow. Wet weather returning to the Bay Area. Not the case for today, though. The dense fog advisory goes until 11 a.m. And as we move in closer, Santa Rosa, half-mile reported for you there. We have 0 visibility reported for the inner East Bay of Livermore. Oakland, 1.5 miles. SFO, 3 miles. Into the South Bay, we've got quarter of a mile over San Jose. 0 visibility over San Martin. Temperature-wise, 44 degrees in San Francisco. Right now, 39 in Walnut Creek, a bone-chilling 37 for you, Livermore. Shifting to the North Bay, where we have 39 in Petaluma, upper 30s, Middletown, and Upper Lake, upper 30s for you as well. Afternoon highs for today, 52 degrees for San Francisco, upper 40s in Concord, 52 over San Jose. Looking at the storm that will eventually bring us some wet weather already over the Pacific Northwest. Northern California beginning to see a few scattered showers, and for us, passing showers in the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll have a look at that extended forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Rosemary, thank you. 7:51, a warning for skiers and boarders heading up the mountain this holiday season. The biggest dangers on the snowy slopes. Then shock and heartbreak for a family in San Francisco after a young child is hit and killed in Hayes Valley. What the driver did once police arrived. Next.
Time now is 7:54. A young child who was struck by a car in San Francisco's Hayes Valley neighborhood is under investigation right now. Investigators say it happened shortly after 10:30 last night, yesterday morning rather, at the intersection of Hayes and Weber Streets. Police say they spotted the child lying on the street moments after the car hit him. That child died a short time later at a nearby hospital.
It's a horrible thing, you know, for the family, for the baby. It's just very, very sad. We go now because my roommates and I were very sad about it. It's really, really sad, especially at this time, a year, you know, poor family.
Police say the driver remained at the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. A family is launching an effort to help the people affected by Thursday's gas explosion near Hayward. That blast destroyed everything owned by the two brothers and sister who lived in that house. They were inside at the time of the blast. The belongings of two young children living at the home are also gone. And now a family who has known the victims for almost 30 years is holding a fundraiser to cover temporary housing, supplies for the children, and medical costs. Two of the adults and one of those children still recovering in the hospital right now. It is 7:56. The crew of a JetBlue flight that had just taken off from the Caribbean headed for New York City says their plane nearly collided with a U.S. Air Force plane. That incident happened Friday when the JetBlue flight took off from Curacao off the coast of Venezuela. The pilots said they had to stop their ascent to avoid a mid-air collision with a U.S. Air Force plane that was at the same altitude. The pilot could be heard on air traffic control recording saying, quote, "They passed directly in our flight path. They don't have their transponder turned on. It's outrageous," end quote. JetBlue says the incident was reported to federal authorities. The Pentagon has not commented on the incident. Well, the new year always brings changes, and in 2026, BART is going to cost a little bit more. BART fares will rise about 6% starting January 1st. BART says that will work out to a 30-cent increase for the average fare. For a longer trip, like from Antioch to San Francisco, it will add up to about 55 cents to the fare. BART says the increased prices will help raise money, and more than $15 million, in fact, as the agency tries to find ways to pay for its service. A plan to remove toll booths at Bay Area bridges is moving forward. The Metropolitan Transportation Commission says the plan is to get rid of the toll booths at the 7 state-owned bridges and replace them with open road tolls, including at the Bay Bridge. A spokesperson for the MTC told the Chronicle the Bay Bridge will see toll booths removed within the next 2 years, but the agency will start with other bridges beginning this month at the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. Piedmont residents gathered for festive Hanukkah celebration. Families gathered at Piedmont Community Hall for donuts and dreidels, enjoying a Hanukkah tradition of fried foods. The treats celebrate the miracle of the oil in the temple in Jerusalem, which was only enough for 1 day but burned for 8. The event also featured live music, holiday crafts, and a themed scavenger hunt for families to enjoy.
I know it's wonderful for me when I get to learn about other people's cultures, and I really enjoy sharing ours as well. So this is a special event.
This marked the 5th year of donuts and dreidels in Piedmont, and event organizers say it continues to grow in popularity. An annual rowing event brought Christmas cheer and toys across the Bay Area this weekend. The South End Rowing Club brought out its more than 100-year-old barges, all for its annual tradition of collecting toys for children in need. The more than century-old club partnered up with the San Francisco Fire Department to bring toys, some even homemade, to kids in San Francisco.
It's just magical. It just takes for me, it takes me out of my normal day-to-day thinking, and it reminds me of what's important.
The SFFD toy program started back in the 1940s, and now the department hands out more than 200,000 toys to children in need year-round. The South End Rowing Club says they collected more toys than ever this year. The SFFD will be collecting toys through Christmas Day, and if you're looking to donate, you can drop them off at any fire station in the city.
But I feel like this is one of those periods of dark history for Jewish people is taking place in front of our eyes.
Painful images out of Australia shaking Jewish communities around the world. The response to the mass shooting that took the lives of more than a dozen people during a Hanukkah celebration. And the nationwide battle now heading to a federal courtroom over California's new congressional district maps.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
All right, welcome to Mornings on 2 at 8 o'clock. As you look live across the Bay Area this morning, you can see this is what we're dealing with. A lot of fog. It continues to be an issue. You're going to want to slow down if you're heading out this morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andre Sr.
Good morning. I'm Gassia Mikaeli. And a busy Monday, December 15th. Many of us didn't see the sun over the weekend, and pretty soon another weather factor will move into our lives when we really might have to plan around. Rosemary.
Yes, you're right. Good morning, Gassia and Andre. Today it's all about the fog. Eventually it will be about the rain. That is going to help move that pattern around and going to get rid of a lot of the fog. Giving you a live look here over San Francisco where the low clouds are joining us. Up above, the high clouds. Those high clouds are actually linked to the system that will start to bring us the wet changes starting tomorrow. Outside our doors at this hour, mid-30s to mid-40s. It's another chilly start, and we are dealing with some patchy dense fog. So take it easy. Give yourself some extra time and expect the fog and cloud cover to linger through the morning hours. An advisory goes until 11 a.m. A better look at your Bay Area Monday and the wet weather coming our way in the extended forecast. But at 8 o'clock, let's see if the highways are improving this morning with Sal. Hi, Sal.
Good morning. Right now, we do see some slow traffic on the San Jose freeway system. I noticed that because there's a lot of red there, but it's not too unusual. We've had a lot of fender benders there, and if you're trying to get to the San Jose airport, I would give myself extra time. It is a little bit slower in that area. You don't want to miss your flight now, so try and get there early if you can. Let's take a quick peek at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. That is backed up beyond the maze for a 30-minute delay. It's 8:01. Let's go back to the headlines.
Thank you, Sal. Police in Providence, Rhode Island, released a person of interest who was detained in connection to a deadly shooting at Brown University. 2 students are dead, 9 others injured after a gunman stormed into an engineering and physics building on the campus. Fox's Kaylee Schuyler live from Providence here to, first of all, bring us up to date on the investigation.
Good morning. So investigators say that the previous person of interest did not match DNA evidence, so they let him go, and the shooter is still on the run. The mayor of Providence says that this community is safe, but they will not be putting into place another shelter in order. But it was late last night when officials admitted that they couldn't say whether or not the shooter had left the state, so they say right now they're just following the tips they receive.
We're not going to give away the game plan, but the fact of the matter is that law enforcement has the tools necessary to solve this case, but we're 36 hours out. So, you know, it can never be too fast, particularly for the victims and their families.
Officials say this video is the most useful to track down the shooter. We can't even see a face, but we're told it's a man in his 30s dressed in dark clothing. Police say the shooter used a handgun to fire more than 40 rounds into a classroom during a final exam review on Saturday. Rhode Island's Attorney General says there are not a lot of cameras in the building where the shooting happened, saying they are not holding back any helpful video. Locals held a vigil last night to remember the 2 students who died, and the latest information we have on the 9 injured is that 1 student is in critical condition, 7 are stable, and 1 has been released from the hospital. The university has canceled classes and finals for the rest of the semester, so one student says the vigil was closure.
Very sad and coming out of a period of being very scared. I wanted to come out here in particular as a time when everybody is going to be together.
So this is actually the building where the shooting took place. This is the engineering building on campus, and police say they're going to be patrolling this area and across the city more than they usually do. And they're asking if you know anything to contact the FBI. For now, we haven't heard any updates on a news conference scheduled for today. In Providence, Rhode Island, Kaylee Schuyler, back to you.
Kaylee, thank you.
8:04 is your time. Today, Australian leaders agreed to toughen their country's already tough gun control laws in light of the mass shooting at Sydney's famed Bondi Beach. Authorities say a father and son opened fire at people who were attending a Hanukkah event to mark the first night of the 8-day Jewish holiday. 15 people were killed and at least 38 others are in the hospital. The ages of those killed range between 10 and 87.
An act of pure evil, an act of terror, an act of anti-Semitism.
You could just hear the gunshots and they're just so loud.
and we didn't know which way that they were shooting.
Australia says the 50-year-old suspect who immigrated to Australia in 1998 died in a gun battle with police. Authorities aren't revealing his country of origin. They did say he had a firearms license. New gun control proposals include limiting who can obtain gun licenses in Australia. The suspect's 24-year-old son was born in Australia and is in critical condition after a shootout with police. And the tragedy is impacting people all over the world, especially the Jewish community. KTVU's Amanda Quintana is live at San Francisco's Union Square, where the giant menorah display was lit last night, and hearts were heavy with thoughts of the people who were victims in the Bondi Beach shooting. Amanda?
Yes, there was a special prayer last night for those 15 lives lost. This news also hits close to home for the Jewish community, not only because this also happened at a menorah lighting like the one that we had here last night, but also because some of the victims are known personally by community members here in the Bay Area. Rabbi Simone Margolin, who leads the Russian-speaking Jewish community of San Francisco, tells us his colleague, Rabbi Eli Schlanger of Chabad of Bondi, is one of the victims. He called him charismatic and inspirational. A survivor of the Holocaust was also killed.
Shooting started, he covered, he protected his wife and took a bullet for himself. I've read about this dark times of Jewish people in the history books, but I feel like this one of those periods of dark history for Jewish people is taking place in front of our eyes.
It's a very, very, very hard time. A tragedy happened, a terrorist attack at a menorah lighting just like this. So we have to keep in mind that tonight, when we're lighting the candle here in Union Square, we're lighting candles for those souls.
Bondi Beach is a heavily Russian Jewish community. The group attacked is affiliated with Chabad of San Francisco. The rabbis were classmates together. In a statement, the Bay Area Jewish Community Relations Council says they're calling on government officials and civic leaders to demonstrate their allyship and solidarity and show up this week at menorah lightings, especially at a time when acts of anti-Semitic violence are becoming more common. The San Francisco Police Department says it has increased patrols at places of worship and Jewish events. They're working with local, state, and federal authorities to assess and handle any potential threats. They did say they do not have any credible threats. Now, at the menorah lighting last night, they did speak about how important it is to continue to still have these celebrations, not let fear cancel any of the Hanukkah celebrations, because they say that the holiday is really about bringing light to darkness, and that's something that they really need right now. Live in San Francisco, Amanda Quintana, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Amanda, thank you. Happening today, a panel of federal judges will hear challenges to California's new congressional district maps. The lawsuit was filed by the California Republican Party, claims the new maps illegally favor Latino voters. California voters approved the new maps under Prop 50 in response to Texas redrawing its own maps. The move teed up a nationwide battle over gaining more House seats to seize control of Congress. Earlier in the month, the Supreme Court allowed Texas to keep its maps.
Time is 8:08, and we've seen kind of a normal-ish commute. We've had some crashes, but they haven't really been so big that they've really changed the course of the commute. They've added a few minutes, to be sure. Bay Bridge looks all right. No major issues there. Interstate 880 is okay. Southbound is fine, but northbound is a little bit slow. And you can see San Francisco traffic is all right if you're driving up and down the peninsula. When we look at the South Bay commute, that's kind of filled in. Just one thing I want to mention. If you're trying to catch a flight at San Jose International, give yourself a little extra time. We had a couple of minor crashes, but they did slow traffic getting to that area, so it's not kind of normal. It's a little bit worse than normal there. Give yourself extra time. 8:09, let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. A sharp drop in travelers coming through one major Bay Area airport. We'll examine the numbers and the effort to reverse the trend.
The San Francisco 49ers securing their 10th win of the season. Some of the highlights from their defeat of the Tennessee Titans.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
Some of our top stories this morning at 8:12. The 49ers are celebrating their 10th victory of the season as they get ready for the playoffs. The Niners came off a bye week and beat the Tennessee Titans 37-24 yesterday at Levi's. Quarterback Brock Purdy threw 3 touchdowns, had 295 yards to lead the Niners to a 4th straight win. The 49ers are now the 6th seed in the NFC playoff picture. They'll play the Colts in primetime in Indianapolis a week from tonight. Today's Powerball drawing will now be at least $1.1 billion. The estimated cash value, $503 million. No one took home the grand prize, but one ticket sold in Sacramento did match 5 of the 6 numbers. That ticket worth close to $2 million.
Well, travel at Oakland, San Francisco Bay Airport is down this year. That's according to some new data released by the federal government. KTVU's Tori Gaines is live from the airport to break down those numbers for us. Good morning to you, Tori.
Good morning, Andre. It's smooth sailing here at OAK this morning. It's been pretty calm. Take a look over my shoulder. We're standing outside one of the TSA checkpoints. There has not been a line here all morning, guys. Everyone has been moving through pretty quickly, and it might be a reflection of that new data. The new data shows that this airport has seen nearly 1 million fewer passengers this year. But the passengers we spoke with this morning say they use it because it's the most convenient. Why did you choose OAK today?
Well, it's closer to where my kids live, so they're in Martinez, and it's just a lot easier. They're like, please don't go to the other airport. I won't name the other airport, which we all know, but it's just easier.
Now, the loss of passengers at OAK isn't a huge surprise. It's about 17%, but the airport has also seen a loss of flights scheduled to leave. About 6,000 fewer departure flights were taken out of here this year. Now, Southwest is the biggest carrier out of OAK, and that airline alone makes up 83% of all flights here, and it has seen a loss of about 12% of passengers since October of 2024. Now, OAK has gone through some big changes in the past year, including changing its name to Oakland San Francisco Bay Airport. That change hoped to draw more visitors. But good news for San Francisco International, though. Over the last year, SFO says it has seen an increase in more than 2 million passengers. Now, that airport credits that to the fact that they have more international flights, more options. But we have also reached out to the Port of Oakland as well as Southwest Airlines to see what they might be doing to try and mitigate the loss of passengers here at OAK. We're live this morning in Oakland. Tori Gaines, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, Tori, thank you so much. 8:15 is your time. Safety experts have an important warning for skiers and snowboarders who are heading to the Lake Tahoe area this holiday season. A recent report compiled by the Sierra Avalanche Center found about 30 people die every year in the U.S. after being buried in the snow. And the annual death toll from avalanches far surpasses shark attacks and lightning strikes. Avalanche experts say the biggest danger is in the backcountry during the peak of ski season.
You're in the backcountry, there's no help coming, so you need to be rolling with a crew that is prepared and capable of conducting what we call companion rescue. In December, January, where it's cold and a fresh big storm rolls through and drops many feet of snow, and it's cold and there's wind, and that can be a threat to human beings.
Experts are urging skiers and snowboarders to always keep up to date with the latest weather conditions. They also say it's very important to pay attention to all posted avalanche warning signs and never ski in areas that are closed.
All right, 8:16, let's get out the door. Hopefully we've gotten pretty good at driving through fog at this point, Sal.
You got to be, actually. There's no question about it. Let's start with the cameras that we have here. Some cameras are fogged in, others not so much. This is 880. At one point, this was foggy. Now it's not. So the fog does tend to move around. Bay Bridge is improving. I like where we are here. It's improving rather quickly. You can tell just by looking at it that I think in the next 15 to 20 minutes we'll see drastic improvement. And some of these commutes, let me see if the 280 camera is... see, it's so foggy you can't see it. So that's, let me see if I can put up the South Bay map there. You can see the traffic in the South Bay is pretty busy on all the major freeways. 8:17. Let's bring in Rosemary Orozco.
All right, Sal, I have a bird's eye view over the clouds, and it is gorgeous. Let's take a look at what we can see out there. The clouds are going to be stuck to the coastline, and inside the bay, we've got patchy, dense fog to contend with this morning. How about that? The gorgeous view. Up above, notice the high clouds, those high clouds coming in ahead of the wet weather. Now, the Tuesday-Wednesday system not going to provide us with a whole lot. You can see where it is targeting the Pacific Northwest once again after they had record amounts last week. Northern California also going to see much more than we are here. We are expecting to pick up quarter-inch or less. And as I push you into tomorrow morning, we do have some light rain falling primarily to the north of us, and it favors the North Bay. Wednesday, still the possibility. Here's Wednesday morning. May have a few passing showers. You can see here on the screen, it's going to be light, not expecting much, but we do have another storm in the forecast, and it's going to come in time for the weekend. That one we may need to gear up for. Here's a view of Wednesday afternoon, evening, quarter-inch or less, favoring the North Bay. Now we're rolling into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and by the end of the week, we could have half-inch, an inch over many urban areas, 2 and 2.5 for our North Bay and our coastal range. So we are watching for this, and it's gonna fluctuate just a little bit in the coming days. We will be dialing it in as we get closer The takeaway, be prepared for that rain on the weekend. Right now, the visibility, tough. Santa Rosa, quarter mile. The inner East Bay, Livermore, quarter mile. The South Bay, San Jose, quarter mile. 2.5 now reported at Oakland, where we're 41 degrees this morning. 44 in San Francisco for the afternoon. Upper 40s to upper 50s, so a near repeat of what we had in recent days. This change in the weather pattern going to bring up our temperatures just a little bit, get rid of a lot of the fog. But again, if you do have that holiday shopping to do this weekend, you're going to need that umbrella. Back to you.
Rosemary, thank you. Could the so-called California exodus be over? The new numbers show a changing trend when it comes to people moving in and out of our state.
We're less than a week out from the official start of winter, but we're already thinking about next summer's zip trips. And this year we're doing something different. Instead of us picking the cities, we want to hear from you. Tell us why your hometown should be our next zip trip destination. Just scan the QR code and record a video or send a few photos telling us all about your city, and we could choose it for next year's zip trip lineup. We'll be right back. $8:22 is your time. Vinyl sales are up, especially for one generation in particular, but many of the people buying the records are not buying them to listen to them.
Pam Cook is sorting through this and other news and important reports that might set a tone for this important winter week.
Definitely a very big week. Some important reports that were delayed because of the government shutdown will definitely influence the direction of the markets this week. As the opening bell rang this morning, all three indexes headed slightly lower after what looked like was going to be a pretty good day. Trading expected to be fairly light ahead of the two big reports that come in tomorrow. That's the November jobs report and retail sales for October. Again, those were delayed because of the government shutdown. Then the consumer price index for November will be released on Thursday. As we take a live look at the markets, as I mentioned, pretty quiet. The Dow Jones down just a little bit, the NASDAQ down just a little bit, and the S&P 500 up just a little bit. And most expect it to be kind of quiet until we get those reports tomorrow. The number of people leaving California still higher than the number of people moving into the Golden State. However, new research shows the so-called California exodus has slowed down during the past year. The study found California dropped out of the top 10 states with the highest number of people leaving after ranking number 2 in the last year. Researchers found the high cost of moving is keeping many Californians and others in their current home. Gen Z fueling vinyl sales, but it's not for the love of music, not necessarily. A new report says it is for decoration. According to a survey by Vinyl Alliance, 40% of record buyers in the U.S. don't even own a turntable. They like the vinyl for their aesthetic. The number of Gen Z buying vinyl has grown by 18% in the past 5 years. Well, in the world of AI, some hiring experts are giving new advice to land a job. A new article in Vox says a good personality is the best way to secure a spot in the office. A study from researchers at Columbia Business School found the way to stand out amongst a growing AI workplace is to be more human and show more of your personality. According to Business Insider, some companies have even started using personality tests to learn more about a prospective's soft skills. So soft skills are teamwork, how you interact with other people, how you get along. I mean, certainly our job, we're not getting our job unless we have some kind of engaging personality, except for Andre. I don't know how he slid in, but no. But it's very interesting because that's really the big question, I think, a lot of people is AI going to replace me, or how do I stay in my job and not be replaced by AI?
Stand out.
Stand out. Be human.
Be human. Don't be a robot.
Right. You know what? That's a good lesson.
Show personality.
Yeah. But it's hard because
I'm practicing.
You know, we've all been here a long time, and we're comfortable, you know, with you and among each other. But when you're brand new, man, I was like on my best behavior. I wore nylons my first 2 weeks here. If that tells you, women especially, nylons. I was
Do the kids know what we're talking about?
I was like, I cannot mess it up. I have to do the right thing. I better not. And I don't know that I spoke to anybody socially. Probably for my first 2 years, I was so nervous.
No,
that's a big ask when you're brand new, when you're interviewing.
Because you're just like afraid of how that's going to be perceived, and you want to make sure you're on top of it.
Yes. My older daughter is, you know, this is her first big, you know, adult job, and she's using AI in her job, and then thinking, oh, how do I make sure I don't, you know, that I still stand out?
She's not a robot.
She's not a robot. She's very human.
There you go.
She's graphic design. I mean, so that's very interesting. So
she's an artist, so you need to be.
You need to be an artist.
All right.
I think that's good.
Pam, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Got to remember that. All right, still developing this morning, that apparent killing of prolific Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife, both found dead in their L.A. home, a family member in custody. TMZ breaking new details on the story. Executive producer Michael Babcock joins us live with the latest developments coming up next.
We're all very sad and coming out of a period of being very scared.
2 students shot and killed at Brown University in Rhode Island, 9 more injured by gunfire, who was detained then released by police, and the search for answers amid a grieving community.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning. Here at 8:30, we're following some breaking news as the FBI just announced this morning it has stopped a terror attack that was planned in Los Angeles over New Year's. The FBI said it arrested 4 people last week in Lucerne Valley. It's a city in the desert east of Los Angeles. The 4 were apparently planning coordinated bomb attacks using IEDs. And according to the government here, they had multiple targets, and the attacks were set to start on New Year's Eve. We do expect a news conference here with the FBI. That's why we're showing you this live picture here. No one's speaking just yet. We will get that going once it starts. We'll monitor the information and bring you updates here through the morning. It's a busy one. We're glad that you're here. I'm Gassia Mikaya.
I'm Andre Senior. Today is Monday, December 15th. We're going to get to weather and traffic in a moment. But first, we want to get to Southern California. A developing story out of there right now. The investigation continues into the death of actor Rob Reiner and his wife. The 2 found inside their home from stab wounds, suffering from stab wounds, apparently killed here. Joining us now with the latest is TMZ executive producer Michael Babcott. Michael, good morning to you. And I just want to go over a few details here. Both Reiner and his wife found dead in their home, suffering from a knife wound attack here. You have been following the story, TMZ has, getting brand new developments, and you just posted a brand new story about what may have happened leading up to this. And I should point out that police have arrested the Reiner's son, but they haven't revealed details about what's happened here. Can you tell us and give us an update on what you're learning?
Good morning, Andre. Thank you for having me. Yeah, just an incredibly sad story, to say the least. Just a tragic situation. Obviously, as people probably know now, about 3:30 p.m. yesterday, there was a 911 call made from the home or in the area of the home where the Reiners lived in a beautiful neighborhood of Brentwood, California. And sadly, as first responders reached the scene, it became clear that there was nothing that they were able to do to help save Rob or his wife, Michelle, and they were pronounced dead. You're exactly right, though. We are now learning here, Andre, some more information about what might have led up to the incident on Sunday. And it sounds like it started on Saturday night. Saturday night, Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner were at Conan O'Brien's holiday party. It's something that he has each year, and a lot of his friends, including celebrity friends, will head over to the home, Andre. We were told that as they were at the party, and their son, Nick, 32-year-old son Nick, who is currently in custody right now, like you said, he was at the party as well. Something happened, though, where there was a big blowout argument, we have been told, between Rob, Michelle, and Nick, and it was so intense that they felt like they should leave the party. Unclear if Nick left, but Rob and Michelle did leave the party, and obviously then the next day, this violent incident happens. We do not know yet at this point what Nick has been accused of, or what he has been, or why he is being held. What's the charge? But the bottom line is he is in custody right now, and obviously police are wanting to question him about what happened, as a lot of people have turned their focus to him here.
Nick Reiner, 32 years old. Online records show bail has been set at $4 million, but details not available yet. I want to talk a little bit about the Reiners being found in their home. Do we know who found them in there yesterday at about 3:30 when this started to unfold?
There is reason to believe that it may have been one of the other children that found them. They also have a daughter, and there's again, not confirmed, and that's another aspect of this, that it seems like the police, at least up to this point, are not on the same page with some of the politicians. For instance, last night, the deputy chief of the LAPD, Andre, he has a news conference where he does not even confirm that it is Rob and Michelle Reiner who are the victims here. Meanwhile, you had Karen Bass, the mayor, who, but a half hour before releases a statement, issuing condolences to the Reiners. So a lot of confusion in the early moments of this investigation. So that all is to say, not crystal clear, but a reason to believe that it was likely the daughter who found her parents in this horrible state and then rushed to call 911. But again, nothing could be done.
Michael, I just want to paint a picture of who Rob Reiner was to the younger generation. A lot of us, who grew up in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s,
Yeah.
know his name in and out. What can you tell us about it as people try to come to grips with the extent of this tragedy?
Yeah, I mean, just somebody who had been, incredibly successful in Hollywood for decades. I mean, you look at Spinal Tap, and you look at some of the, the incredible as there it is. Just some of the huge movies, huge television shows that Rob Reiner had either acted in or directed as well, because he was an incredibly talented director. So somebody who I think, you see a lot of people who are flashes in the pan in Hollywood who come and go, but he had a sustained career over decades. I mean, you're seeing people, Billy Crystal, for instance, Andre, went to the scene last night. Larry David was at the scene. I mean, these are guys who are obviously are heavyweights in the industry, who were just so emotional standing outside of his Brentwood home. I think it just goes to show how beloved Rob Reiner was in Hollywood and across the entertainment world. An incredibly talented filmmaker and an actor, and somebody who will be greatly missed.
His impact on Hollywood cannot be understated, just how famous and popular he was, and lasted for decades. It's not easy to do in Hollywood.
No,
but
it's
Reiner
not.
was one
Very
of those
rare.
people. Michael Babcock with TMZ, executive producer. Thank you for providing insight into what is still a developing story for us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Andre. I appreciate it. Good to talk to you.
Time now is 8:35 this morning. Authorities in Rhode Island are still searching for the person responsible for a weekend mass shooting on the campus of Brown University. 2 students were killed, 9 others were wounded in that gunfire Saturday night. Last night, authorities announced the man who'd been detained as a person of interest and held for several hours was released.
Certainly there was some degree of evidence that pointed to this individual, but that evidence needed to be corroborated and confirmed. That evidence now points in a different direction. So what that means is that this person of interest needs to be and should be released.
Authorities say the person of interest was taken into custody early yesterday morning at a hotel about 20 miles from campus. No official word yet on why he was detained and released.
Australian leaders today agreed to toughen their nation's already tough gun control laws following the mass shooting at Sydney's famed Bondi Beach. Authorities say a father and son opened fire at people who were attending a Hanukkah event to mark the first night of the 8-day Jewish holiday. 15 people were killed and at least 38 others are in the hospital. The ages of those range between 10 and 87.
People around the world and here in the Bay Area are mourning the victims of the attack, and the violence is particularly disturbing for members of the Jewish community, many of whom are again dealing with increased fear and anxiety. We welcome Rabbi Shimon Margolin to Mornings on 2. You're a leader of the Russian-speaking Jewish community in San Francisco. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
I'd like to start with your thoughts on the attack, and I know you know someone who was injured.
Yeah, we have someone in the community whose relatives attended the festival at Bondi Beach, and we also we know the story. So not personally, but already as the details emerge, we know what has taken place during this horrific attack. This attack has devastated the Jewish community around the world. Our hearts are extremely heavily. Our hearts are with Bondi. We have an image that is circulated in the Russian-speaking Jewish community and the Jewish community at large that we are all Bondi now, and I think it's a very important message that anyone could embrace and get behind.
I've seen that image and those words circulating on social media. What was it like for you and others to gather together on the first night of Hanukkah?
It's impossible to describe the gamut of emotions that you feel. That on one hand, the holiday of Hanukkah is the Hanukkah symbolizes, and the lights, the candles symbolizes the joy, the hope, the triumph of light over darkness. It's a holiday. It's a family holiday. It's again time of an extreme joy, and this holiday has been marred by this horrific attack for this sheer evil that was unleashed on the innocent people in the beachside community in Australia. So the feelings are so mixed. But one thing is for sure that there's a overall feeling and a unified feeling in our community, meaning the Jewish community, that we're not going to cower and we're not going to lay our hands down, so to speak, and back down.
Anti-Semitism has been on the rise in Australia and elsewhere, including here in the Bay Area, fueled in part by the war in Gaza. Long before that, we've seen attacks on the Jewish community in the States and beyond. Rabbi, I imagine there is something of a cumulative effect of all this years of trauma.
Yes, it's just never-ending process of trauma upon trauma, loss upon loss, and you know, it's an overwhelming feeling. Like, when is it ever going to an end? I shared with your crew yesterday that I personally feel, you know, I read about some very dark episodes, dark pages of Jewish history. I read it in a history book, but the feeling in the community, and I certainly feel that way, that as if this dark period of Jewish history, of Jewish people, is taking place right in front of our eyes.
I heard you say a minute ago that it's important to stand together and stand in the light. What then do you say to those who might be afraid to draw attention to themselves and their faith at this time?
Well, if you're afraid, if you react, and that's why that's what terrorism exists. It exists that the people want to terrorize us. The people want to force us to do something which we don't want to do. And if we hide, and if we, you know, hide our identity, if we don't come out. Yesterday was a feeling that kind of in the air that people are not going to come out to Hanukkah celebrations. We know there was one of the largest celebrations in years in Union Square, in San Jose, in other places around the world. The message again is like, if we hide, then it means that terrorism, this evil, unimaginable evil will win, and we cannot allow that to happen.
All right. I appreciate your time. I wish we had more of it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so
Rabbi
much.
Shimon Margolin. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Or we want to get back to that breaking news we told you about just a few minutes ago. The FBI announcing this morning that it stopped a terror attack planned in Los Angeles over New Year's. That press conference getting underway right now. Let's listen in.
30 years old, Zachary Aaron Page, 32, Dante Gaffield, 24, and Tina Lay, 41, each from the Los Angeles area. Each is charged with conspiracy and possession of an unregistered destructive device in violation of Title 26, United States Code Section 5861D. We intend to file additional charges in the coming weeks as we finish reviewing the evidence. The defendants are all radical anti-government members of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which, according to their own social media, is an anti-capitalist, anti-government movement that calls for their associates to rise up and fight back against capitalism. One of the leaders of the organization, defendant Audrey Carroll, helped organize an even more radical faction of the group called the Order of the Black Lotus. Each of the defendants charged today was also a member of the Order of the Black Lotus. Carroll described this group to her co-conspirators as everything radical. As detailed in the federal complaint, which we will now make public, in November 2025, defendant Carroll created a detailed bombing plot to use explosive devices to attack 5 or more locations across Southern California on this upcoming New Year's Eve. Carroll and her co-defendant, Zachary Page, led the effort to obtain and build the bombs and to recruit others to join in their plot. Carroll's bomb plot was explicit. It included a step-by-step instructions to build IEDs or improvised explosive devices, and listed multiple targets across Orange County and Los Angeles. Carroll also made clear her desires. She said, quote, "What we are doing will be considered a terrorist act." Carroll and Page also discussed plans for follow-up attacks after their bombings, which included plans to target ICE agents and vehicles with pipe bombs. Carroll stated that those plans would, quote, "take some of them out and scare the rest." Throughout early December, the co-conspirators discussed their plans during an in-person meeting in Los Angeles and through an encrypted messaging application. As part of the plan, the 4 defendants planned to build test bombs in the Mojave Desert. You're going to hear more details about the bombs they intended to build and how the operation went down in the desert here shortly from the FBI Assistant Director in charge. In preparation for the plan, the co-conspirators purchased multiple pieces of bomb-making materials and discussed their travel plans to the desert. Last Friday, December 12th, the defendants took a significant step to carry out their plans. They traveled to the remote campsite, which you're going to see some video of, in the desert, and they began unloading their bomb-making materials to assemble and test the bombs. They had everything they needed to make an operational bomb at that location, and they were subsequently arrested by the FBI before they could build a functional explosive device. Shortly after the defendants were taken into custody, the FBI executed multiple search warrants, including at the defendants' Southern California residence and other locations throughout the country. I'll highlight some of the items found during those searches over the weekend. For example, in Carroll's residence, law enforcement found multiple posters and materials associated with Turtle Island Liberation Front, including posters stating, quote, "Death to America, long live Turtle Island and Palestine," and quote, "Death to ICE, Turtle Island Liberation Front." In Page's residence, law enforcement found a copy of the detailed bomb attack plan. This case is another reminder about the dangers that radicalized Antifa-like groups pose to public safety and the rule of law. Through the tireless work of our prosecutors in my office and our law enforcement partners, which you will hear from today, we disrupted this terror plot before buildings were demolished or innocent people were killed. But this is not the end of our work. My office is committed to extinguishing the far-left terror threats that we face, and will continue to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The 4 defendants arrested will make their initial appearance this afternoon at the federal court in downtown Los Angeles. They are each considered innocent until proven guilty. I will now turn it over to the Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI LA office, Akil Davis.
Good morning. Again, my name is Akil Davis. I'm the Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI's Los Angeles Division. As we're all aware, we've had a busy weekend in this country and abroad with bad news incidents one after another. Today, we are announcing a major victory in our collective effort to protect the American people. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force intercepted a scheme by members of a violent extremist group we believed determined to detonate explosives at multiple businesses on New Year's Eve. Last Friday, the FBI arrested 4 of those subjects near 29 Palms in San Bernardino County while they planned and rehearsed their attack. The 4 subjects are members of a radical faction of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, TILF, a violent, homegrown anti-government group. The subject arrested envisioned planting backpacks with improvised explosive devices to be detonated at multiple locations in Southern California, targeting U.S. companies. These bombs were to blow up at the same time on midnight this New Year's Eve. The plan stated that the IEDs would be complex pipe bombs. It included instructions on how to manufacture the bombs and contained guidance on how to avoid leaving evidence behind that could be traced back to them. Our investigation uncovered evidence in that the group would test the explosives in the desert. And we're going to show footage of that here in a second. We learned that the alleged co-conspirators had recently started acquiring precursor chemicals and other items necessary to accomplish this task. In recent days, the alleged co-conspirators discussed plans to travel to the desert on the 12th to detonate the explosives. Knowing this, the FBI's JTTF and the FBI Los Angeles field office staged multiple SWAT teams, special agent bomb technicians, our evidence response team, along with the FBI's elite hostage rescue team in the desert to disrupt this plan before any harm could occur. Because of this, we were able to disrupt their plan. All 4 group members were taken into custody without incident. The TILF Instagram account publicly posts content that advocates for violence against United States officials. A recent post called for a revolution and asked for supporters to organize and be ready. The FBI, as you have seen here, can also organize and be ready. We could not have accomplished these arrests without the exceptional assistance from our partners on the Joint Terrorism Task Force. I specifically want to thank the following agencies, as you see up here today: the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Palm Springs Police Department, along with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. I also want to recognize the following FBI field offices as this investigation crossed the entire country: the New Orleans Division, the Buffalo Division, Indianapolis Division, and the Boston Division who, as you all know, have had their hands full this weekend. In fact, an additional warrant was arrested by our partners at FBI New Orleans in support of this investigation. I will now turn it over to the Los Angeles Police Chief, Jim McDonald. There you go, Jim.
Well, thank you, and good morning, and we appreciate you being here today. Los Angeles Police Department is proud to stand alongside our federal, state, and local partners today to announce the arrest stemming from a coordinated domestic terror plot. The case underscores the persistent threat posed by extremist groups and individuals, as well as the critical need for law enforcement agencies to remain vigilant in protecting our communities. The successful disruption of this plot is a powerful testament to the strength of our unified response, driven by the collaboration and tireless efforts of the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, along with our allied agencies. Together, we have prevented a potential tragedy and reaffirmed our shared commitment to safeguarding our communities. I want to personally thank the dedicated men and women from every agency involved. Their relentless work over the past several days has ensured that those responsible were apprehended swiftly and safely and without harm to our neighborhoods. Thank you. I'll now call up Sheriff of Los Angeles County, Robert Luna.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here to cover this, what I believe is a very, very important story for our community. This successful operation was a result of quick, proactive, investigative work, and I want to emphasize strong collaboration. And ADIC, Akil Davis, mentioned it and gave credit to all the law enforcement here in Southern California. It is better here, it always has been, than anywhere else in the country, and we're very proud to be part of the Joint Terrorism Task Force. For us at the Sheriff's Department, we've been part of it since after 9/11. Their ability to share intelligence across multiple agencies, investigating threats like this one, is second to none anywhere else. The way we coordinate with partner agencies and act quickly was critical to the success of this operation. And like I said before, there's no other area like here in LA County with our partnership that has been here for years with the FBI and LAPD and the other law enforcement agencies around us. Since this threat was uncovered last week, our Sheriff's Task Force officers and intelligence analysts working closely with our law enforcement partners have been working around the clock to verify information, identify targets, and piece together this plot that you've heard described. Their strong investigative efforts, sharp situational awareness, and rapid response ensured that this threat was stopped before it ever had a chance to be carried out. I'm incredibly proud of the professionalism and dedication shown by the men and women who worked tirelessly to bring this threat to an end before it could cause harm to anybody in our community. To our community, I know hearing about these incidents like this can be unsettling, especially in the light of the recent Brown University mass shooting and the Sydney, Australia terrorist attack. But today serves as a powerful reminder that strong collaboration between federal, state, and local law enforcement can prevent violence before it occurs. As we enter the holiday season, a time when families and friends come together across traditions, cultures, and beliefs, this incident is a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and to be prepared at all times. Vigils whose goal is to divide us, to instill fear, and to target the very diversity that makes our country strong. I want to be very clear, what you see here, this investigative work and the follow-up that's been done shows that they will not succeed. Our community's diversity is our strength, and protecting every member of our community is our primary duty. Whether you are celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's, or simply gathering with loved ones, you deserve to feel safe. We are committed to ensuring that safety today and every day. We remain dedicated to protecting our entire community through ongoing intelligence gathering and threat assessments, strengthening partnerships across all of our agencies, engaging with the public to promote awareness, vigilance, and resilience. And finally, I encourage everyone to stay alert, trust your instincts, and report suspicious activity. And as we always say in law enforcement, if you see something, read something, or say something, your awareness, your eyes, and ears can help us protect the entire community, as we did in this incident. I will now introduce the police chief of the Palm Springs Police Department, Andy Mills.
Well, good morning, and first of all, thank you so much, Assistant Director Davis, for the spectacular job that the FBI did on this case. We were just in a very supportive role only, making sure that the FBI had what they needed in the desert to execute their mission. But on a larger perspective, I just want our community to know that this gives me hope. It gives me hope because of the unified effort of all of law enforcement, from the Sheriff's Office to LAPD, San Bernardino Sheriffs, and the FBI, working together to make sure that people like this are removed from the community so they can be prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office, to make sure that all of us can live in peace. And this is what our mission is to make sure that there's hope in all of our communities. So thank you very much for the spectacular job that the A-team showed up and did.
Good job, thank you. Yeah, I just want to reiterate that obviously there's some disagreements amongst our agencies over things like immigration enforcement, but when it comes to other areas of law enforcement where it matters to keep the public safe, whether that's protecting the girls on Figueroa Street or the Palm Springs investigation, there is no gap in the cooperation between the federal government and local government, and we do thank the sheriff, the police chiefs, for your valuable assistance. It would be very difficult for us to do a lot of what we do without their assistance, so I do want to thank you, each and every one of you. With that, we'll open it up to a few questions. Oh, we're going to play the video. All right, play the video. And this is, the video is, do you want to describe the video?
Yeah, I'll describe the video. So, as I mentioned in my talking points, on December 12th, a group of individuals, again, members of this anti-government group, traveled out to the desert to test their explosive devices. They had precursor chemicals there, and they were going to create these bombs in the desert. What they are starting to do is put their chemicals and wares and the components out on the table there. This footage that you're watching is from our surveillance plane, and then what happened after this is the Los Angeles FBI SWAT team, along with the FBI's hostage rescue team, moved in and arrested all 4 subjects without incident.
So now we'll take some questions. You mentioned these 5 companies. Can you get more specific about that? Yeah, we're not naming the victim companies, but I'll generally describe them as logistics centers. You can think of like Amazon-type logistics centers, but we're not naming the specific companies at this time.
Can you elaborate on the locations?
There were at least 5 locations that they intended to target within Orange County and Los Angeles County. Again, we're not giving out the specific sites, but they were willing and wanting to do more if they could recruit more members to their radical efforts there.
You mentioned the arrest in New Orleans. Do you guys think that there are other people involved? And you mentioned some other locations.
There are definitely more members to this group.
We're getting brand new information on what appears to be a widespread terror plot that has been thwarted by officials in Southern California and beyond. There apparently was a plan to blow up as many as 5 locations in Southern California, in Orange County and Los Angeles County. 4 people arrested, said to be part of a group I'd never heard of before, Andre, the Turtle Island Liberation Front.
Yeah, they were expected to carry out these attacks at 5 locations throughout Los Angeles on New Year's Eve, and there was a detailed plot that was uncovered by federal authorities and local authorities as well. There was a written document that detailed exactly how they were going to carry out the attack, and the suspects were actually just arrested on Friday in the Mojave Desert, where they were going to get ready to build these bombs and test them out at the same time as well. These details are extremely disturbing. They also have video of the arrest that took place on Friday from their surveillance plane. This story continues to develop, and we're going to continue to gather more information for you.
You heard authorities say that the 4 are set to make their first court appearance this afternoon. They're in Southern California. The head of the Los Angeles Police Department, Chief Jim McDonald, calling it a coordinated domestic terror plot, again, to target 5 locations in Southern California on New Year's Eve here, just about 2 weeks away. It's clearly a breaking story. We'll follow it for you throughout Mornings on 2 to 9, which starts after just the shortest of all breaks here. So do stay with us here on KTVU.
tragedy during a holiday gathering at one of Australia's most iconic beaches. 15 people killed in a shooting that has shocked the world. What we're learning about those believed responsible for the attack.
And the violence in Australia affecting people here in the Bay Area. How the local Jewish community is grieving and carrying a powerful message of defiance and remembrance.
Then, a shocking development in the deaths of actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife, who was reportedly arrested in connection with their deaths, as their family history is now under the spotlight.